And welcome to our trade deadline episode here on the Area 51 Sports Network. Very exciting day. A lot has happened. We're coming to you right now at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern time. So we've been told that there are about 30 trades that still haven't been announced yet. So we'll see what ends up happening. If anything breaks down while we are talking, and we'll try to get you those trades. So right now we're joined by Hassan from the Cap Space Wins Cups podcast, and then Liz from the Third Line podcast. So I guess we'll jump right in to some of these trades. So we're going to go back a little bit here, and we'll start with one of the a couple of the bigger trades. Anaheim sending Hampus Lindholm to Boston for John Moore, Euro Vekanainen, first round, second round, and in 2023, and in the second round in 2024, and then signing Lindholm for 8 years. So we'll start with Son. What do you think of the trade?
I mean, a bit steep if you're the Bruins, in my opinion. They gave up a lot to get Lindholm there. But I mean, I guess we saw the defenseman market was crazy this trade deadline. So I guess they were kind of in a situation that it felt like the competitive window is closing. So, I mean, it's a bit much in my opinion. I kind of got to live with it. I think the 8-year contract extension was what really threw the red flags for me. Lindholm was 28 now, 2029, and you're signing him for an 8-year contract. I don't really see the thinking there if you're Boston. But I mean, I guess every other team in the East is loading up for their cup run, and I guess Boston felt the need to upgrade the blue line. I think Lindholm would still be pretty serviceable right now. I'd say long term that extension is probably not the best move for the Bruins, though.
And Liz, what are you thinking about this Lindholm? Lindholm trade.
I have to agree. It's a steep price. They need to stop giving out 8-year contracts right now. Like, this season has been insane. But it's too steep of a price for me. Like, I'm glad it was Boston and not a team I like.
Well, when you're talking about Lindholm, yeah, he's a guy who he plays on the penalty kill. He has played in the power play in the past, but yeah, just turned 28 years old a couple months ago. Career high of 34 points, and that came in 2014, 2015. Since then, he's been in that 25 to 30 range. So, yeah, if that's what you're paying, if that's what a third, or if that's the price for a 30-point defenseman, then, yeah, the NHL is definitely has some high prices.
I mean, yeah.
So we'll jump in. Florida Panthers on March 19th also made a big deal in sending. The Panthers sent Claude Giroux, German Ruptsov, Connor Budman, and a 5th-round pick in 2024 to the Panthers for Owen Tippett, a 3rd-round pick, and then a conditional 2024 1st-round pick that it's conditioned on if it's a top 10 or not, but they're still getting that 1st-round pick. So I'll start here with Liz. How badly did the Panthers fleece the Philadelphia Flyers on this one?
Ridiculously. If I'm a Flyers fan, and I mean, I'm not even a Flyers fan, and I'm still mad for them. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. The fact that Claude Giroux didn't go for, like, 2 firsts is insane in its own right, but then, like, there's just no reason for it. Like, that was a massive underpay, and, like, good on Florida. Like, congrats to them, because holy hell, you just pulled it off. But that's ridiculous.
I'd have to agree. There was a pretty low price that they're getting. Owen Tippett is in his draft plus 5-year. Clearly hasn't figured out the NHL yet. He scored at a reasonable clip in the AHL. But, I mean, if you haven't figured it out by your D plus 5 year, you're probably a bust. So I don't think he moves the needle that much. And then you take a first round draft pick and you only get it in 2024, not even the loaded 2023 draft for a rebuilding Flyers team. So I don't see what the thinking at all is there. I do obviously Giroux had that full no move clause, so he could kind of pick his spots. But I mean, still, we heard his name linked to a couple of other places. So I'm sure there was some other places he would have accepted a trade to. Colorado, I know Minnesota and St. Louis were in on him as well, but we did hear that he turned down trades to Boston and New York, but I'm sure you could have got something slightly better than this.
Anything.
It's pretty much it's pretty much just a 2024 first round draft pick for Giroux, which is tough because Giroux is still super productive and his underlying profile is fantastic. Despite his age, and I think he's going to be a great fit in Florida for sure.
Yeah, Claude Giroux, like, what more do you have to say about him? He was the backbone of that entire Flyers team for, the past how many years? So I believe he was drafted in 2005, 2006. He helped them to a Stanley Cup final. He was loved in Philadelphia, but I'm interested to see what Owen Tippett can do, because he was pegged as a top prospect. But yeah, that return, especially, we'll see where Claude Giroux fits in, but that.
Oh, bye, Adam.
Oh, that's great. Okay, awesome. That's
fantastic.
Yeah, I guess there he's back.
Yeah. I clicked the wrong button on my mouse there. Okay. So, that was really it for the big deals on the 19th. We'll jump here to the 20th. We're going to leave the Canuck stuff for a little bit later, but we'll start here. The boy Troy Stecher, or Troy from Richmond as he's known, going to the LA Kings. Now, does this move tell you a little bit about maybe Drew Doughty's health? We'll start, Hassan.
I don't necessarily know if it's related to Doughty's health for sure. I mean, the Kings are obviously doing a lot much better than they expected this season. Going to make the playoffs, going to finish top 3 of their division. Right-hand defenseman is a premium position in the NHL. You can always pay for it. Obviously, Stecher was scratched a lot in Detroit, but he makes this pretty easy to swallow salary. The Kings have some space for a guy like that. Obviously, he's played with Edler before, so could be a serviceable bottom pairing guy for them during the playoffs. Pretty low risk, a 7th round draft pick, not much value there. So, kind of a no downside move for if you're the Kings, and obviously the Red Wings would take any sort of asset for a guy they've had healthy scratch and sitting in the press box most nights. And obviously pending UFA as well. So not like you're on the hook for any salary or anything long term. Not sure if it speaks to Doughty's salary necessarily. The Kings do look a glut of defensemen. Obviously, a bunch of their names have been linked to Vancouver in the previous weeks, but I wouldn't be. I don't necessarily think it's a indictment of Doughty's health or anything at this point.
Liz, what do you think of this move by the LA Kings?
I like it, to be honest. But I mean, you can say the same thing. I liked it when they grabbed Ben Hutton. So say what you will about me there. But I mean, like Hassan said, it's a low risk thing for the Kings to do. It's a move that really can only help them. If he doesn't work out on their blue line, then he doesn't work out on the blue line. They lost a 7th round pick for it. Like, that's not going to be a huge thing. But I mean, off chance he comes in, makes a big impact, and helps them into that playoff, run, then good for the Kings. I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, and I'll throw this out right now that according to Elite Prospects, their Kings right side defense, or according to Daily Faceoff, the Kings right side defense is Jordan Spence, Troy Stecher, and Sean Durzi. Injury reserve defensemen include Sean Walker, Mikey Anderson, Matt Roy, and Drew Doughty. So, Sean Durzi, pretty good player, but yeah, they definitely needed some help on that right side.
Mm-hmm.
We'll jump in here with the Toronto Maple Leafs sending a 2nd round pick this year, 2nd round pick next year, and a 2024 3rd round pick to the Seattle Kraken for Mark Giordano and Colin Blackwell. I guess I'll just start this one off quickly here. This is an awful move. by the Seattle Kraken. They got absolutely hosed. The fact that they also retained salary on Mark Giordano, and with this deal is it. I don't understand like what's going on with what Ron Francis was thinking here. Like you look at like the Ben Sherratt deal. Ben Sherratt got a first round pick, and you didn't even have to throw in a second player. Like Colin Blackwell is a good middle six player on top of that. So I don't know I don't know really what to say about this one. Liz, do you want to jump in here?
Um, I I don't agree that this is the worst move for Seattle. I think it's kind of silly that they didn't get more in return. But the second you saw that Toronto was the trade partner, I don't know what you were expecting. Like they got more than I would have expected them to get out of Toronto just for the sake of Kyle Dubas is basically sitting there going, I'm going to take everyone, sign them to stupid money, but you're getting nothing out of it. So the fact that they got anything, I think, is positive and a win for the Kraken. But I think they would have gotten much more had they gone anywhere else with that trade.
Yeah,
Hassan, do you have any thoughts on this trade?
I don't think it's as bad a deal as you make it out to be. There, Adam, I'd agree. Toronto was pretty adamant they were not going to move a first round draft pick. Giordano his play has fallen off pretty significantly, and you are what your contract says. You are in the NHL, and it's going to be hard. Even at 50% retained, Giordano is still not like a nothing cap it, so it would be kind of hard for Toronto to absorb that full hit. So, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Blackwell getting thrown in there was a bit of a surprise. Like you said, I think he's pretty solid, good, serviceable middle six guy. I think he would fit in well with the forward group Toronto has, especially with Kasha out. But Giordano, I don't think he's the player he once was. And, a couple seconds, not bad for a guy who's a pending UFA anyway. For Seattle, if you're eating salary for a year, who cares? They're one of the worst teams in the NHL this year. Giordano's off the books next year anyway. So, couple seconds, still adds to the pool of draft picks, and Seattle's obviously accumulated a bunch of picks over the next 3 drafts now. So, watch out for them. Obviously, I doubt that Seattle's going to make 7 picks in the second round in this coming draft. So I'm sure they will be making some moves with some of those picks as well.
Well, here's my thought on here's my theory about this. The Seattle Kraken have constantly gotten less or nothing for players because they rush into decisions. The fact that they didn't just wait out and trade him today probably lost them some value. Like if you make that trade today, you're probably getting more for Mark Giordano because the Toronto Maple Leafs are probably a little bit more desperate. And if you go to them, if the New York Rangers offer you a first round, if you stay and you say we're going to see what comes on today, and then the New York Rangers offer you a first round pick, then you can go back to the Maple Leafs and say, listen, this is what the Rangers gave us, beat it. The Kraken have been getting in their way a lot lately. This trade is a perfect example of it for sure. Yeah, I don't know much more to talk about with the Kraken. A lot of their deals were complicated and didn't make a lot of sense the last couple days. The only good deal that they really had was the Jeremy Lauzon trade. So, yeah, we'll leave the Kraken there, I guess. It is what it is. They got some draft picks, but it really didn't. The Kraken really didn't get as much value as they should have. Okay, so Liz, why don't we jump into a little bit of your neck of the woods here with the Capo Kakinen for Jacob Middleton trade?
Yeah. It's a good deal, I think, for both sides. The Sharks need a goaltender that they can, one, hopefully rely on to be healthy. With Reimer and Hill both, being James Reimer and Aiden Hill. If he can stay healthy in the meantime when both of them or one of them are injured, out, sick, whatever the reason is, then it's fantastic because the Sharks have basically proven they're not going to use Zach Sawchenko regularly. They were like tossing him a bone here and there, and that's not great for him. But at the same time, if that's what they're going to do, then let him come back to the AHL and thrive. Before until you either move him or you lose him or you use him at some point or lose him. Who knows? And then Jake Middleton, good for him. They sold on him while he's high. He's hopefully going to go on a bit of a run with Minnesota. Feels weird to say because it's Minnesota, but this is a good deal for both sides, I think.
And it was interesting because some of the reports that came out today were that the Sharks didn't really want to move James Reimer.
And they didn't.
Yeah. So, you get kind of your now. Do you see the Sharks going into next season with Aiden Hill and Kakinen, or do you see him keeping Reimer around next year?
I have no idea. I think it depends on how the rest of this season goes and how probably the beginning of summer goes, or not the beginning of summer, but when camp starts. All three of them are signed through next season, so at this point it's anybody's game. I think Aiden, they wanted to be the future of the Sharks goaltending, and between his performance and his inability to stay healthy, I think he's hurt his chances of being here long term. But James Reimer, also, it depends on how the rest of the season goes. There's no clear cut. Yes, he's going to be the backup, and James Reimer is going to be here, and all this. Like, it's anybody's net right now, if we're being completely honest, except for maybe Aiden Hills, and that pains me to say.
And then the Sharks also made one more move. Nick Merkley on his way to the Rangers for Anthony Batito. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I know you were a little bit shocked by this move, I guess.
So they actually made two more trades. So the Nick Merkley one was the most recent. I am a little bit shocked by it because Merkley is doing well for the Sharks, but you know what? Good for them for moving him. Getting Potato, whatever his name is, back. I know it when I read it. I just can't say it. Is odd for me because I believe he's like 31 and he's going to be with the Barracuda. So weird trade for me in that sense. And as far as the Barracuda go, because why are you messing with this team when they have an actual chance to make playoffs? And it's so delicate right now. But I'm most upset because I never found out why they call him Randy. And I needed that story. I needed that story. Why is Nick Merkley called Randy? If anybody out there knows, I will still be asking around, but I need to know.
So you said there was one more Sharks move.
Yep.
I don't have it written down yet. What was the other Sharks move here?
They traded Andrew Cogliano.
Oh, yes. Andrew Cogliano went to the Colorado Avalanche.
I hate it.
Yeah.
For no other reason that I don't like the Colorado Avalanche. It's not a bad move. Like, good for him. They got, what was it, a 5th or something? They got a later draft pick, and that's fine. Whatever. I don't really care. But I don't like anything that helps the Colorado Avalanche. So.
Let's be fair. If you gave me like 10 guesses, I probably wouldn't have said that Andrew Cogliano was on the Sharks to start.
I was just going to say, I didn't even know Andrew Cogliano was on the Sharks. So.
Well, now you do.
Yeah.
Or did.
I honestly thought he retired.
I think he was on the Ducks still. I don't know why.
If we're being completely honest, is coming to the Sharks not at the moment just basically being retired because
it is a retirement home right now.
So.
Yeah, Nick Bonino, your first line center?
Depends on the night. Oh, goodness. Yeah.
So
there's apparently still one more that hasn't been announced yet from the Sharks, in theory. That's what some of the reporters have been saying, and we haven't seen it yet. I have no idea what it is, but there's a smaller trade still in the works.
Yeah, as we said, there are some trades that are going through. Apparently, Lou Lamoriello has also jammed the phone lines by putting in 2 extensions, one for Cal Clutterbuck and one for Zach Parise. So that also stalled some of the trades.
That is such a Lou Lamoriello move
And
there.
then Carolina announcing an 8-year deal for Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Also,
Stop signing 8-year contracts, people.
yes.
The Kotkaniemi contract could work out. He's young. He's not an insane
Yeah,
cap hit.
but
I guess
8
he could grow into it.
years.
I mean, sometimes it works out if you get the guy at the right age, and if you're coming out of your RFA deal, it's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, if you could have gotten Quinn Hughes for 8 years if you were the Canucks in this offseason, don't think anyone would be complaining if you get it for a reasonable number. I think it depends what age you sign him for. It's just the way RFA statuses work in NHL most of the time. You're getting these guys at 27, 26, 28 years old, and then they're looking for an 8-year contract. So it's like, okay, I don't want to do that. But if you could get them at 23 for an 8-year contract, be like, I lock him up for his whole prime, I'd be happy to do that.
But you have a difference between Quinn Hughes and Jesperi Kotkaniemi.
I mean, there's higher potential for Kotkaniemi to grow into that contract. It's not an insane number either. What's he, just over $4 million a year? Right, Adam?
Yeah.
Something like that,
I
right?
don't know. Yeah,
I have it
not
right here.
100% sure at the moment.
It's $4.82 million a season.
Ooh, 4.8, almost $5 million a year that's a little steep.
Yeah, like I'm not saying it's the worst thing, but honestly, just stop signing people to 8 years. Like, if anything, look at the Sharks. See what granted, the Sharks are signing older guys to stupid amounts, but stop signing guys to 8 years. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah. Another player that's near and dear to Liz's heart, a trade between the Chicago Blackhawks and Minnesota Wild, where Marc-Andre Fleury goes to the Wild for a conditional second-round pick that will become a first if Minnesota reaches the Western Conference Final and Fleury wins at least 4 games in the first 2 rounds. So, Chicago wasn't making the playoffs. Minnesota has a very good team. Liz, what do you think about the Flower moving to what is the what's the name for Minnesota?
The state of hockey.
The state of hockey.
State of hockey. There you go.
Good for him. You know what? If he was fine with it, I mean, I know he didn't really want to get traded again, but good for him. And I mean, for anyone watching, I know I laughed when you said that, if he plays if he wins 4 games in the first 2 rounds, but at the same time, it's not funny because he could do it like very easily. It's Marc-Andre Fleury. Like, I don't know why I laughed. For some reason, it sounded funny that they made that the condition, because normally you'd want something a little more difficult than, Marc-Andre winning.
That would assume that Minnesota makes the conference final, though, which would be the difficult part of that. Like, is Minnesota really the favorite to go to the Western Conference Final in division with Colorado? And they still have a first-round match against St. Louis, which is not an easy game. It's not an easy series, even though I think Minnesota will probably be favored in that one. But you most likely run up against Colorado in the second round, which would be tough.
Yeah, but also now you have Marc-Andre Fleury. You have a pretty stacked Wild roster. Like, it's not a stretch.
I mean, yeah, it's not insane, but that's still, I don't think that condition is super likely to get met. If I'm being honest, Colorado really loaded up at this deadline as well.
It'll be difficult for sure.
Picks. Yeah. So, but I mean, I think I don't know. Goalie trades are so hard to predict. Like, what was the last in-season goalie trade we had where the person candidate started with Ryan Miller to the Blues a few years back, and that didn't work out really well at all. So I'd be interested to see how Fleury performs with Minnesota for sure this year.
Didn't Marty Brodeur get traded to the Blues as well? And
yeah, he did. Yeah. That also didn't go well. Goalie trades in season are very rare, and I think rightfully so. I think it takes the goalies a little bit longer to adjust to a new team and a new environment. Fleury's obviously been around the block, so I think if anyone could handle it, it could be him. But Minnesota's an interesting team. I think they've got a really strong roster this year, but looking at their cap situation going forward, I would not want to be. I mean, this is it for them this year, really. Like, they should probably try to go all in and win this to see if they can make some noise, win the cup, get in the Final Four, whatever they can do this year, because those Suter and Parise buyouts are coming on the cap next year for like $19 million. And I don't know what they are going to do with all that money, all that dead cap, unless the NHL comes and bails them out, which I hope they don't, because obviously we've got the Luongo recapture penalty here, so I want everyone else to suffer as well. But yeah, I mean, I think Minnesota is in a jam next year, so I can see why they made this move. And I'd say good on them for making sure that they didn't give up that an unprotected first rounder there in that deal. There was apparently some reports that Chicago and Minnesota were going back and forth on wanting a first versus a second. So I guess they kind of met in the middle with that conditional second. But yeah, good move by Minnesota, I'd say.
And just for Liz here, Vegas is making another move apparently as of right now. Evgeny Dadonov is off to the Anaheim Ducks. They don't have the return yet, but that's a cap move.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that's so funny to me. Like, you knew that Dadonov was getting moved, unless they just collapsed at the last second. So the fact that it's Dadonov isn't surprising, but at the same time, going to Anaheim maybe is, because you're trading a
Is
good
Vegas throwing
player.
a sweetener in there or anything to take the contract? Because I'd assume they want to try to activate someone on LTI off LTIR or something. I don't know because it's obviously
Dad's
Eichel
only.
looked like he's been injured again.
Oh, okay.
Well, speaking of Anaheim, they also did just trade Ricard Raquel,
Yeah.
Right.
which they maybe bringing in Dadonov as a potential replacement there for Ricard Raquel. But two very different players there. And we'll jump quickly here. We'll jump back to the Canucks, what they did on this draft or on this trade deadline day. So essentially, what happened is that they brought in a fourth round pick and Travis Dermott for Travis Hamonic and Tyler Mott. So they trade out Mott for a pick. Mott is a UFA coming up. They get rid of Hamonic, who was a problem, and they bring in Travis Dermott, who's a younger defenseman who can play both sides of the ice. So I know it wasn't a Gunnar Garland move, it wasn't a JT Miller move, it wasn't a Brock Besser move, but overall, it seems like they did what they needed to do.
I would say so. I would say the Canucks did the bare minimum you needed to do. They needed to do in order for you to not call this deadline a complete failure. Hamonic getting out of that contract was a huge W. Getting him for a third round pick to Ottawa with no salary retention. I don't know what the Senators were thinking. I don't know what they saw in Hamonic, but yeah,
They
don't
saw
like
we're
Hamonic.
desperate and we have cap space.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, I did not like Hamonic as a fit on the ice. Obviously, he had his whole vaccination issue at the beginning of the season as well. A bunch of other health problems. Just a big problem. High maintenance for a guy who's not doing much on the ice. So, glad to be rid of that contract for sure. And then, yeah, getting flipping the pick. It wasn't exactly the pick we got. We flipped the Winnipeg's third rounder for Dermott, and the Canucks obviously acquired their own third rounder back from the Sens. Obviously Dermott 1.5 million, so you save a reasonable number on the cap. Younger, he has a solid underlying profile, but he has been prone to some turnovers. He's only got one more year left though, so if it doesn't work out, you can walk away from that contract pretty easily. But yeah, I don't hate that move. I know some people were hoping to keep the pick. I can live with having Dermott in for Hamonic. I was hoping that would signal that maybe a Brad Hunt would be moved, or maybe there was a couple more moves happening on the blue line, so the Canucks needed the extra body. That doesn't seem to be the case. So overall, I'll be pretty happy with that. Mott return. Mott, nothing special to me, never has been. Love the hustle, love the guy, of course. His advocacy for mental health. Love the story on Tyler Mott, but at the end of the day, he was a fourth liner. He has 7 goals this season. He's not moving the needle. And if Tyler Mott was worth more than a fourth round draft pick, the Canucks would probably be holding more than a fourth round draft pick. He plays a non-premium position in the NHL, and pretty much all he can do is kill penalties. I'm sure that has some value, but not as much as people in this market would think. Mott is overrated in this market. A fourth round draft pick I'll take it. I would have hoped for more, but it's better than nothing, and it's better than signing Mott to some sort of egregious 4-year contract at $2.5 million. I feel like we've been down that road.
Yeah.
Yeah. So quickly, we're just gonna run one. We're gonna run one of our ads here for Hapson, and then we'll be back in about 30 seconds. Make sure to check out all of the deals at area51sportsnetwork.com. There you can get some promo codes for some of the items that we do have for some of our sponsors. So we're just going to quickly run that ad, and we'll be back in about 30 seconds. Okay, and we're back after that short ad break here. Just breaking down some more of these trades that that have been coming in today and over the last couple days here. Let's jump over to why don't we jump over to this Colorado Avalanche Montreal trade? Justin Barron and a second round pick head over to the Avalanche for Arturi Lehkonen. Now, Arturi Lehkonen if you don't remember, he did have a pretty good playoffs with the Montreal Canadiens last season. He is a free agent at the end of the year, but to give up Justin Barron, who is arguably the Avalanche's best prospect and a second round pick for this player, tells you really where the Avalanche's mind is going into this playoff series.
Yeah, they got to do that move. Barron might be a solid prospect, but the Avs are win now mode. You look at their contract situations. It's probably this year is the year for them to get over the hump here and get to a cup final at least, and maybe next year. But it's looking like all the chips are on this table, especially given Kadri is having such a great season. They probably can't re-sign him. They got to load up, and they did. Barron probably wouldn't have made the NHL for just based on the way the blue line is structured in Colorado right now. They obviously have Makar, they have Taves, they have Gerard. They acquired Josh Manson as well. Eric Johnson is still there as well. So, they have a lot of depth. Bowen Byram looks like he's skating again now as well. So he could be back in the playoffs. So Colorado is looking scary in the back end there. Lehkonen is a really good fit for the Avs, in my opinion. I think he's going to make a difference for them. He's the kind of player. He had a great run in Montreal, like you mentioned. And I think stylistically, he just meshes really well with the middle six group that Colorado is building. So I think they should be pretty happy with that. But I mean, if you're looking from a Canadian's perspective, Montreal, I mean, usually Montreal's had a great deadline. They sold off a lot of these aging assets for very, very premium assets. Justin Barron's going to be a great. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be in the NHL, but he'll be a great fit for Montreal in the years to come. Hopefully, we'll probably get some more opportunity there. Good moves by Kent Hughes overall, I'd say. In his first deadline is GM of the Habs, so I think Habs actually pretty happy with the moves they've made.
Liz, what do you think?
I don't have a lot of thoughts on this one. I think partially because I don't necessarily care about either of the teams involved. I think the Avs needed someone for Tyson Jost's spot. Do I think they got an equal player? Not necessarily, but I think it'll work for them.
Yeah, that trade, is questionable. I guess. I'm a big Justin Barron fan, but to give him up and a second round pick for Arturi Lehkonen, that's a win Montreal's books every day of the week, right there. Especially because there's no, guarantee that Arturi Lehkonen is re-signing at the end of the year. So one of these trades that came down late, we don't have all of the information yet on it, but the Carolina Hurricanes acquiring Max Domi from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Liz, I'll let you jump in here
Awful.
to talk about. Yeah.
Awful.
This trade doesn't make a lot of sense, so I'll jump in. I'll let Liz go off and rant about it for a while.
I'm not the one who needs to go off and rant. We're missing the person who actually could do that. But this trade doesn't make sense. There's no reason for it. Why on earth are you putting Max Domi with on a team with Tony DeAngelo? Like, what are you doing, Carolina? You were doing so well. You don't need him. What the hell is the point of this? Like, there's no like cognizant thought going through my head other than why. It's the most pointless move of the entire day. Like, they didn't need this.
Hassan, any thoughts on this move here?
Is Domi is Domi a pending UFA as well, or is he on a contract?
I'm not 100% sure, actually. I'll just quickly check that out, but
we don't know what's going the other way for Carolina yet, do we?
we're not 100% sure just yet. He is a pending UFA. He's carrying a $5.3 million cap hit, and apparently Florida is a part of this deal as well, and they're used as a broker to make the money work.
Okay. Which also, why is Florida helping Carolina?
That's weird also, yeah. An division team, a contender. I don't really know why it would be.
Why are you helping them?
Yeah, I don't know. It's questionable for sure.
A lot of unclarity around this trade right now. I don't really know what to say at this point.
Yeah. And also it's like I don't really know where he fits in their lineup. That's like another question. So like, you know, theoretically Max Domi is going to play center, correct? Like I don't like unless if he's a center. So right now your centers are Aho, Trocheck, Jordan Stahl, and Jesperi Kakiniemi. So he's not going to replace one of those four players. Is he going to jump on the wing? But then who is he taking out? Is he taking out a Derek Stefan? Is he taking out a Steven Lorentz? Like, you know, where the move doesn't fit. It doesn't fit for what Carolina needs. Like Carolina at the moment, they probably could have upgraded their like third pair defenseman. And that's like Ian Cole.
So you understand why I'm sitting here going, why? What was the point of this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Also, like who the hell thought it was a good idea to put Max Domi on a team with Tony DeAngelo? Like I'm going to sit here and just be like, every side of this, I don't even care what the return is, every side of this is wrong.
Yeah. Okay, so we do have the information about the Andrew Copp trade now. So the Rangers are getting Copp and a 6th-round pick in 2023 for Morgan Barron, a conditional 2022 2nd-round pick. I'm just trying to read this. And then a conditional 2022 23 2nd-round pick and a 2023 5th-round pick. So the condition on the first 2nd-round pick is that if the Rangers win 2 playoff rounds and Copp plays 50% of the games, it goes to a first. And then the conditional 2022-2023 2nd-round pick is it's the Jets decide which one they want. So for Morgan Barron,
brother of Justin Barron, who's also traded today.
Yeah, so both Barons get traded. Here, you know, he's a young guy, 23 years old. He was played at Cornell University, was the captain, has only been in pro for 2 years. So this is he looks like he could be a good fit, you know, for the Jets. He is a center, which, you know, and wing, so you never can have too many of those. But he looks definitely like one of these 4th-line players if he's going to be in the NHL.
His AHL scoring rates aren't terrible for someone his age. His first year in the AHL at 21 points in 21 games. 15-25 this year. Not terrible for a 23-year-old.
Yeah, so it's not a bad trade. Yeah, I think the Jets are probably happy with what they get. They could potentially get a 1st-round pick for Andrew Copp, and it's like, why wouldn't you take that every day of the week?
My main thing that stands out to me is the fact that the Rangers were like, well, we might give you a 2020 a second round pick this year, or we might do it next year. Why on earth would you give them next year's? I'd much rather lose this year's second round draft pick than next year's.
Yeah, there's a lot of debate about that where it seems that this year's draft is the first round is very heavy, but then it kind of tailors off a little bit. But then
It's not even the first round; it's like the top 10, and then after that you have whoever you want.
Yeah, but then next year it's more like round 1 through 3 is stronger in the draft. So yeah, there is a lot of. I do find that interesting that a lot of teams are asking for that pick next year rather than this year, and that could probably play a factor in there.
But I think it's funny that the Rangers get to choose, and they still left it open to. We'll see.
No, the Jets get to choose.
Sorry, the Jets get to choose. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at it anymore.
Yeah. Okay, then we also have. Speaking of the New York Rangers, they did bolster their blue line with Justin Braun for a 2023 third round pick. That's a pretty good move. You bring in a veteran defenseman. The Rangers are a pretty young group on the back end, so that's a deal that definitely could help the Rangers in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that one from anyone's perspective. Braun for a third sounds about right to me. I mean, depending on his production and how he goes. So, I mean, you're not taking too much of a risk, but also you're not completely underpaying if he does well. So, I'm not upset about that.
So one last deal here, and then we'll go over some of the winners and losers from today. The Blues acquired Nick Leddy and Luke Witowski from the Red Wings for Jake Wallman, Oscar Sundquist, and a 2023 second-round pick. I like this move from the Blues. Nick Leddy, he's been to 2 straight conference finals with the Islanders. They didn't pay a huge price for him. Sundquist hasn't worked out well for the Blues, so I think that that's a deal that could really help St. Louis this playoff run.
Yeah, and I think the Isles needed some cap relief just for the sake of they have a few guys to sign this summer. And
well, no, the Island Leddy was on the Red Wings now.
Oh God, I forgot that he moved. Oh, too many teams.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Red Wings didn't need that, but I think they also just didn't need Leddy anymore. Like they have enough talent in their system. Good God. My brain is broken. Everyone moved last year. I don't know where anyone is anymore. And then it's trade deadline, so I really don't know where anyone is anymore. But, I mean, either way, it's a good move for the Blues. It's not a bad move for the Wings. Like, they're still bringing in someone who can produce for them. It's another one of those, like, they did well. Like, it's not bad. It's not excellent. Like, I'm not sitting here being like, oh, wow, that's a fantastic move, but you can't be mad about it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do some... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Hassan.
Oh, no. Sorry, I would tend to agree with all that, yeah.
Okay, so let's do some winners and losers from this trade deadline. And I guess we'll start with Liz. What team won the trade deadline and what team lost the trade deadline?
Carolina lost specifically because of the Max Domi trade. And I still don't even know what they're giving out, and they still lost it. Winner, Florida. It has to be Florida. Like there's no doubt, and like they got Drew. They're bringing in. My brain broke, and I can't think of a single name that we talked about right now. But yeah, like Florida, every time that their name came up today, or even in the last like week, it was them winning some trade. So it has to be Florida.
Hey Hassan, who are you going with?
Yeah, biggest winner. I was gonna say Panthers. The Panthers as well. If I'm counting only deadline day, then I would say Colorado. I think made some good moves. They shipped out a lot of young capital, but I think they strengthened their team for the playoffs this year, and I think that they really loaded up. If I'm going back a little bit further in time, like pre-deadline stuff, I think the Flames made a lot of good moves going into this season, going into the deadline. Obviously, they got a little more of their business done kind of before deadline day, so I'd say Flames are Avs are biggest winners. Um, Kind of off the board winner was the Habs as well. I think they made some good moves, acquired a lot of younger stuff, younger capital, kind of good stuff for the rebuild. So I would be pretty happy if I was a Habs fan today. Biggest loser, I would probably lean towards Carolina as well. I don't think the moves they made actually addressed any of the holes in their team. Kind of having trouble picking anyone else who would be done really poorly today. Um, Anyone else did was kind of like an Ottawa taking on a Hamnick or something, but like those are kind of small potatoes for a team that really hurt their chances in the playoffs. I think Carolina didn't really move the needle, and I think a lot of teams around them were improving. So I would probably say Carolina as well.
I do have to say, on the note of the Flames, we did not talk about the fact that they did acquire Ryan Carpenter. Oh, there goes Adam again.
Yeah,
they did acquire Ryan
yeah.
Carpenter at the, last second. So
Yeah. He's
they
obviously
made some.
sandpaper guy.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching him when he was with Vegas. I mean, when they acquired him off of waivers from San Jose, I thought he played really well. I was actually upset when they got rid of him. But I liked what he was doing with Chicago too. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in Calgary. And he clearly knows how to make an impact, even when he's not that like main guy. So I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah, I think that fits a good need for Calgary as well, especially then since Daryl Sutter seems to have fallen out of love with Dylan Dubé. You probably will see Carpenter a little bit on the fourth line as well. Physical guy. So I think, tried and tested for playoffs, I think would be good for him there. But yeah, there's Adam. Push the
I
wrong
had a
button
quick phone
again,
call I had to take. Sorry about that.
Are you going to tell us who won and lost the deadline?
Yes, I will tell you who won and lost the deadline. The big
Really quick.
losers of the deadline and the deadline season are the Edmonton Oilers.
Right.
They did not address what they needed to. They are now going into the playoffs with Mike Smith, which who knows if he's healthy. Mikko Koskinen, who it's like, who knows what's going to happen with, like, who knows what Mikko Koskinen you're going to get on each day. And then Stuart Skinner, who's unproven. There were options out there. We saw Kakinen go to San Jose. That could have been a move. Chris Driedger out in Seattle could have been a potential player. You also look at maybe Marc-Andre Fleury, who went to Minnesota. Like, would he have waived to go to Edmonton?
Doubtful.
So that one I see as a big loss by Ken Holland. Now, as we've mentioned this entire hour, there are still trades that are coming in.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's not like, what's the word? What am I thinking here? Like, all right, it's not like there could be a move still, but I really doubt it. There will be. That's just my thought on this whole thing. Yeah, the big winner, in my opinion, it's not like Florida. You know what, they did really well here, but I think that Montreal won the trade deadline here from perspective of what they were able to get, like getting Justin Barron, getting William Lagesson. Like, those are some very good young players to help bolster their blue line here. Like Montreal, and then you look at bringing in Marty St. Louis a couple weeks ago. Like, that was a huge move. The Tyler Toffoli move and what they were able to get back from there. Like, Montreal under Hughes feels like they did everything that they made the team a lot better. The Ben Sherratt move was just like an absolute steal. Getting a first-round pick for Ben Sherratt was pretty incredible. So in my mind, it is Montreal that won the draft or won the trade deadline season because of all of what they were able to bring in.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I think they could have done better, but also they at least made positive moves. Um, so yeah, I understand that. Sorry, I was staring at my phone because the Sharks do in fact have another move that just hasn't been finalized, and they're not telling us who. And I swear to God, if they move Joachim Blichfeld, I quit and I'm leaving San Jose.
Yeah. So further to my point here, I have it right here. So the Habs turned Toffoli, Lehkonen, Kulak, and Sherrod into William Lagesson, Justin Braun, Tyler Smilanic, sure,
Yeah, no one knows how to say his name.
Emil Heineman, Tyler Pitlick, a first round pick this year, a second round pick this year, a fourth round pick this year, a first round pick next year, a second round pick next year, and a fifth round pick, or sorry, 2024 second round pick, 2024 fifth round pick. Like, that's a pretty good haul there from Montreal and Kent Hughes. And then you go on, we have the guys like Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Kane Primo is pretty good, looking like. So Montreal, they're not going to make the playoffs this year, but they're a team heading up. Now, I do have to ask, what did you think? You cover the Sharks and the Barracuda. So what did you think of their deadline?
I mean, I'll know more after this last minor trade comes through, which for a normal person wouldn't affect anything. But as I just said, if they move Joachim Blichfeld, I will leave. But I think they did well. I mean, they didn't quite get the picks that they wanted. I know they wanted a second round pick for Jake Middleton, but instead they got back, a goaltender and a fifth. And ironically, it was their own fifth that they got back, I believe. So cool. They didn't actually lose anything for that because I think they traded the fifth for what was his name? Goaltender.
Hakkinen?
No, they traded whoever. That's gonna bother me. Dubnyk. They traded the fifth for Dubnyk, and they got it back along with a goaltender. So they didn't really lose out on that one, which is good. And then they brought in an AHL guy for an AHL guy, and then moved Cogliano for, I believe it was a fifth. So I'm not upset about it. It's fine. They didn't do anything drastic. And it's not like they were going to hurt their playoff chances by making moves because they don't have playoff chances. So I'm okay with it.
And then you are in the past. You've lived in Vegas. So what are your thoughts on Vegas kind of staying pat at this deadline despite all the injuries?
I don't like it. It's kind of stupid. I mean, I'm glad that they didn't do something like move Riley Smith because that's what I was worried about. Moving Evgeny Dadonov out, do what you will with that. We knew it was coming, but at the same time, he's been doing well. Why, when your team is struggling, are you? But like you're struggling with the chance to still do well in playoffs, and yet you're moving out one of your better guys who's been performing.
And one problem with Vegas is the fact that they don't have, so like Vegas has to make the playoffs this year because they have potentially no first, or they have no first, they have no fourth, and then next year they got no second. So like it's not like if they miss the playoffs, it looks like if they miss the playoffs, like they don't have a draft pool that they can really fall on to. And like Riley Smith is probably gone in the offseason.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that Riley Smith is gone in the offseason unless they make a move. Like specifically for that. I think Vegas, ironically, I've seen it a lot today, is that they did the exact opposite of what Seattle's done, where Seattle's just collecting all the picks from everyone. Vegas was like, here, take all of them. Like, we got all of these picks in the expansion draft, like, and it was wonderful, but then, like, we got rid of all the players that we got rid of all the picks that we picked up. Like, who cares? Which sucks. But I think they still have a chance. Like, one okay season isn't the end for the Vegas Golden Knights. Like, I feel like everyone just got so used to them being at the top of the rankings that everyone's like, oh my gosh, Vegas is like 2 points, 1 point out of a playoff spot. Oh no, burn the entire team down. And I'm like, guys, this is the first time in 5 years. I think it's fine to breathe for a second. Like, if this continues and they just look awful next season, I'm going to be more concerned. But like right now, just breathe. It's okay. They'll be fine.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting how, Vegas and Seattle have just taken the complete opposite roads here. And, Vegas is like, who needs draft picks when we can just trade for every possible player that we want? And then Seattle's kind of like, give us more draft picks than we have players signed over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so exciting stuff. We'll see what happens. We'll see. I guess we'll have to wait a couple months to see who really are the winners and losers of the draft. If Florida goes out in the first round, or like Colorado or Tampa or Minnesota, like some of these deals might not look great come May. So we'll see. One last question before we log off here, Liz. Does any one move that, a player to a team or whatever, does any one move change your thought about if they become a Stanley Cup contender or not?
No. Minnesota.
So you think that Minnesota, with the addition of Fleury, they go from kind of like that second round to the Stanley Cup type thing?
I think they can. If Marc-Andre Fleury does what he friggin' does best, yeah. Like, you can't tell me that last season's Vezina winner doesn't automatically boost your chances, despite his performance in Chicago, because it's Chicago. So maybe give him a chance. But, I mean, yes, it takes time for a goaltender to adapt. But if he does his thing, yeah, Minnesota has that better chance.
Okay, well, that will do it for, I guess, this year's trade deadline. Thanks to Liz and Hassan for joining us here. It was a very exciting deadline. Make sure to keep checking the social medias to see if any of these other trades come down after we log off here. And make sure to double check who is writing the tweets, because you never know if it's the real. You have to double check sometimes if it's the real account or if it's somebody making up or trying to be somebody else. I know I fell for that earlier today. So
you did? Wait, who?
I fell for a fake Frank Saravelli saying that the Canucks had acquired Jack Roslovic.
Okay, but like Columbus wouldn't have done that. But yeah, okay, sure.
Well, yeah, so that's why I was like, okay, so I don't know if this is true or not, but it makes sense.
I've not been tricked yet this season, so
yeah. Okay, well, thank you to all of our sponsors on the Area 51 Sports Network for sponsoring us, helping us grow the channel, and make sure to check out all of the written work at area51sportsnetwork.com/WHL, as well as the blog. We have some Whitecaps news, Abbotsford news, and UFC all over there. So thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you all again next year.
Allow me to introduce High Stick Vodka, a new way to celebrate victory. Gather around the glass with an award-winning, ultra-premium Canadian-made vodka. You probably won't listen when I say High Stick Vodka has a smooth, hard-hitting taste, or that it's developed in the birthplace of hockey. You won't listen when I say High Stick Vodka is a tribute to the game of hockey, or when I tell you it's distilled 4 times using Canada's purest mountain spring water to provide an authentic, remarkable flavor. but maybe you will listen when I say it comes in a fucking hockey stick. Showcase your passion for hockey with our limited edition hand-blown hockey stick bottle. Whether you're celebrating victory or drinking to defeat, High Stick Vodka is better after every shot. Visit us at highstickvodka.com. It also comes in this regular bottle. Celebrate victory. Drink responsibly.